one of your co-hosts for this show. And this show is created by the People-Pueblo Party, which is an independent political party that believes in common sense politics for the people, the planet, and the animals. Tonight we have a very special show. But before we get to that, I wanted to thank our sponsor. Our sponsor is the People's Health Program, the People's Health Project Incorporated. And because of their generous support for us, we can have the technology and the software to produce this show every Monday night at 8 p.m. It's a weekly show. And we thank you for being here. And again, we thank the People's Health Project Incorporated. And so without further ado, I'm going to introduce my co-host. We have Brother William Hargraves III with a 3RD.
That's right.
And so what's up, Bill? Everything good?
No complaints. How you doing?
All right. I'm glad to be here. Another Monday, another 8 p.m. show where we can talk to people. And of course, folks can always interact through the chat. It's a live chat on Facebook, it's a live chat on YouTube. And also we got our organizational number on scrolling on the bottom. So, it's very interactive. So, it's as live can be.
I agree with that.
All right. So, Bill, did you want to start us off? I mean, our topic tonight is Black Solidarity Day and its relevance to this current presidential election that's coming up soon. If you see behind me on my, the purple flag is the flag of the People-Pueblo Party. That's our color. On the other side is an American flag, but instead of having stars, it has a peace sign. I picked that up here in Pennsylvania. And I thought it was very appropriate because, the United States has a long history of genocide and wars. And so having the peace symbol instead of the stars, just made a whole lot of sense to me. And of course, in the middle is the red, black, and green, which is the African liberation flag. And, we're promoting Black Solidarity Day, especially during this time. And so, Bill, I'm just going to let you, educate us a little bit about Black Solidarity Day before we go on to our guest.
All right. Well, welcome, everybody. Old heads and newcomers that first time joining. And this is a great topic because every day is a day for Black liberation, Black struggle, as we know. That's why it was such a big pandemic, not just COVID-19, but a global pandemic with the killing of the assassination of George Floyd. It was the linchpin of the global awakening of the atrocities that's been before African Americans. Just since hijacked, the kidnapping, rape, the murder. Am I muted?
All right.
Can you hear me?
So, Bill, the closer you get to the computer, the better we hear you. When you move back, the sound breaks up.
Okay. How's this?
So, the closer you get to the computer, the better the sound.
I don't
much better, like 100%.
All right. I don't mind getting closer to the computer if it makes me look better. Does it make me look better? Should I smile?
Of course it does.
All right. So I'll start over then, and I'll speak a little louder too. Welcome for those that's been here before and first time we hope that whenever you are taking it and how you make you want to come back again and tell friends. So Black Solidarity Day is basically what you gotta recognize the bits of what got us to this deserve some 51 years ago in 1969 by Dr. Carlos Russell, who was a scholar, and also I think he was a playwright because he actually got this idea of watching the play of their absence. And we look at the events in 2020, we had a dual pandemic. We had COVID-19, and we also had a pandemic and awakening of not just African American and brown people, but global people. When you take a snapshot of the people that's in the street, no matter where in the world, you see a confluence of white people as well. That they're starting to reckoning with the sins of their fathers. But we've been doing this for quite some time, not only in with the observance of Black Solidarity Day in 1969, but also with Dr. Malana Karango when he came up with Kwanzaa with the seven principles. These coincided in the movements of the 60s. And we had made a lot of gains in the 60s, but what happens a lot of time, you get complacent. So mainstream America realized that you're upset. They would like to tab us as being angry, so they give us certain concession, and so we become complacent. But there was an awakening, and so this is a good time to talk about Black Solidarity Day and its importance as it relates to us now more so than ever. The Black Solidarity Day, like I stated, started in 1969 by Dr. Carlos Russell, all right, Panamanian born. He was a historian, he was a playwright, and things of that nature that you might want to know about him. But also, it was a day for Black people to have a day on, even though we say it's a day off, where we say it's no school, there's no work, there's no shopping. And back then, in them days, they said, and no riding MTA. Okay, because you gotta understand, when you rode the MTA, you put money in their pocket, because every time in those days you had to ride, you had to pay per ride. Now they have the Metro card where you're gonna get a weekly, you can get a monthly, so you're not actually putting money in their pocket from day to day. So we wanted to shut them down, and we wanted to be a day where not only they had to recognize our power and our absence monetarily, because we're the biggest consumer, but also it was a day on, because we just didn't take the day and we didn't do anything. We sat down, we had conversation, and we educated ourselves about it. We educated ourselves politically. We educated ourselves where we wanted to go as a nation, as a people, educational wise. Everything that affected us, family structure. Where were we as a family? What did we need to do to enhance the family? Where were we as far as what difference was we making? Were we part of an organization, or did we keep our thoughts to ourselves? Did we was going to become grassroots and start an organization? And that's what it was. It was about thinking. And so, what we did in those days is we took off, and we let them know that this was one day that you had to make fill out our absence. And if you also wore black that day, and the significance of wearing black is because if people we didn't want people to take off and get evicted. So say you had no choice when you weighed all your options, that you needed to go to work. So what you would do, you would wear black as a sign of solidarity, there being in lockstep with us, and you would bring your food from home. You would not go to the local cafeteria. You would not go to the local store. You would not give them your money. So it was your way and other people's way. Because I have had people, as even my daughter, it was my daughter's on. I have my kids; they're all grown and they're on their own. And she felt that, Dad, look, I know we never celebrated black. We never went to school on Black Solidarity Day. I need to go to work today, but I'm gonna wear my black, and I'm gonna bring my food. I said okay, and I understood that. And the reason why I share this story is because it's significant. She told me that was other people. Maybe I don't want to exaggerate it, but at least it was one other person that they looked at each other and they gave an acknowledging nod, like they understood. They both had on black, and they understood why they had on black. And I don't know if the other person brought their own lunch. I was assumed that they did, but these are things that you need to know so that you can still feel like you're a part of it. But even if you do have to go to work, I would suggest that it's like when you take off for Martin Luther King's holiday before it became where it might be federal, but it depends on who you work for. You might not have got that day off, but we took it off in my house. And again, it wasn't a day off; it was a day on. My kids wrote book reports, and we discussed him and the things surrounding that was significant in making our house whole. So even if you got to go to work, you still can dedicate a part of your day to talk about the plight. Are you part of the solution? The way you live in your life, the way you're instructing your kids, the way you think, the way you dress, the things that you choose to read or watch. So you still can do that even if you have to go to work. And nothing is more prevalent than today. And I'll say this in conclusion: we did a demonstration, People-Pueblo Party, D12, Granville T. Woods, in front of the NBA headquarters on I think it was July 12th. And our contention was with the unrest and the movement that was unprecedented, even for the 60s, that it was a distraction. Instead of people coming home still dealing with the everyday ilks that was before us, not of our own doing, it was a distraction because now people say, okay, when is LeBron, when's the Lakers going to play? And I want to get everything out the way so I can watch that. And the NBA said that they could do both. And the fact of the matter is, they weren't capable of doing both. And that's why we have things like Black Solidarity Day. And the reason why I say they weren't capable of doing both, because think about it. It was until that young man got sprayed in his back with a cop was close enough to hit him with the bullets. If he threw him, he couldn't have missed his back. It was until then that George Hill and the Milwaukee Bucks decided not to play. So the fact that it took another atrocity, a near attempted assassination, to get the NBA to stop, let them know that they was incapable of doing both. And then they put on profit in front of principle, in front of people, and they continue to play. So that's why it's significant to really have a real earnest, heart to heart, gut check discussion about where we stand and the significance of Black Solidarity Day. And it was always the first Monday. I'll say it again. It's always the first Monday in November because it precedes Election Day. Election Day is always the first Tuesday. So strategically, it was placed there on purpose. So you need to know that it's been 51 years. The origin was Dr. Carlos E. Russell, 1969. It's always the first Monday in November that precedes Election Day. And we talk about our we have a roundtable discussion, or we can have a discussion in your home about where we stand politically. What's our view? Is the Democratic Party the way Black people should go? Are they taking their votes for granted? Is the Republican Party, or should we go to another party because none of them, one has bad manners, one has better manners, but maybe we feel like they're the same. So that's why we're here today to talk about Black Solidarity Day and its relevance in terms of how we feel as nationalists, as African Americans, as Black and brown people, in our struggle that's unique to everybody else's struggle. So with that, I'm gonna turn it back over to Mark, unless you want me to introduce the host.
Yeah, brother, go ahead.
All right, I want to introduce the host, somebody that I'm very familiar with, that's Amar. She's my sister in the struggle. She's a long time December 12th movement. She's if you've been to any D12 movement, that voice that don't really need the batteries in that bullhorn is Amar. So she's a very humble person, but she's strong. And I tell you to take your pen and your paper out and take notes because she getting ready to drop some signs on y'all. So, and it's good to see a sister, a strong sister, because we know that the strength of our movement has always been around the Black women. So big them up because they don't get enough credit. So I had no further ado, I want to introduce Sister Mar. Sister Mar.
Oh, peace, everyone. Hello, how you doing?
Peace.
Greetings from the December 12th movement. Thank you for that introduction. Thank you for this platform, Brother Mark. Thank you for the introduction, Hargrave. Yeah. So I'll just get right into it. This Black Solidarity Day is actually one of the most important Black Solidarity Days in our lifetime thus far. It's really time for Black people to really say which way forward. And it's not about in this season where we are in a presidential election, when people have to think about the voting of the lesser of the two evils. It's more so of us having to figure out which way forward for us and not putting our lives in the hands of anyone, period. Um, what are we going to do in this hour? One thing that I was talking about last week to a group of people, well, this past Saturday, was about the amount of wealth that has been extracted during this pandemic. I actually like to say pandemic, so I'm gonna stick with that because it is a pandemic, you know? And the statistics show that $931 billion of collected wealth has been made from the richest of the richest in this nation since the pandemic has begun. And then when you look at that number compared to the amount of layoffs that we see in our community, the amount of people that are facing eviction due to not having any jobs and things like that, you must wonder, like, okay, what's going on? Like, you know, that doesn't seem right. It's not humane, you know. And then this is coming in the midst of the George Floyd, the Ahmaud Arbery's, the Breonna Taylor's. They just killed another brother in Illinois and then in California, you know. So it's like, all right, what are we gonna do? We no longer, I don't think it's like time for us to continue with this whole like, all right, who are we gonna vote for? You know, who has the Black agenda? We have the Black agenda. And that is exactly what Black Solidarity Day is about. You know, it's about which way forward for us coming together on that day to organize ourselves and see, you know, how are we going to move forward? You know, we can't put our lives, we can no longer put our lives in the hands of these people. They do not have our interests at heart. We're just, you know, a campaign tactic for them. Of which way and they can like massage our minds so that we can get our votes. But we see nothing has changed with our conditions in the last 400 years. From 1619 to COVID-19, we still face the same atrocities against our own humanity. So this is a very important Black Solidarity Day. A Black Solidarity Day, in essence, is a general strike, a way in which we Black people can exercise our power and our significance in this machine. We've always been the essential workers. This phrase has been coined, essential workers, during this pandemic. But since 1619, since we were brought over here and forced to build up the wealth of these beasts, we've been the essential worker. It was our labor who has built the wealth of this nation and Western nations around the world. So we must exercise this Black Solidarity Day as enough is enough. Now we must exercise our power, and our power is understanding that we are the very energy that keeps this machine going, because our labor keeps the machine going. When we withdraw our labor, we shut the system down. We utilize our power because the only thing that they respond to is money and violence. So if we shut the city down, we say, all right, we're not gonna go to work. We're not gonna do this. We're not gonna, as Hargrave was saying, we're not gonna go to, we're not gonna take the train. You know what that will do to New York City? It just in New York City, like that will literally shut the city down, and they would not know what to do. And we see it this summer when George Floyd happened, Breonna Taylor happened. When we got to the streets, now all of a sudden people knew how to pay attention. Now all of a sudden Black Lives Matter. They paving the streets in yellow brick roads that lead to nowhere. Because I don't know what them yellow streets was. I don't know what they led, but anyway, you know what I'm saying? Like they do all these symbolism things because they're scared of us exercising our power. And we must see what we did this summer as an example, a precursor to what Black Solidarity Day can be for us in this hour. It's no more of the lesser of the two evils. It's more so which way forward for Black people. What are we going to do in our own interest? Stop putting our lives in the hands of our oppressors, period. So I definitely just wanted to start with that, and then y'all could jump in and say, yeah.
So, I mean, that was actually that was an excellent start. Very dynamic. Thank you for being here. And I remember when my first experience with Black Solidarity Day was in middle school. And you know, you know, when you go outside the U.S., the dynamics of who's white, who's Black, and all this other stuff is very different, especially in Latin America. And I think one of the reasons that in Latin America there's a high prevalence of racism is because in many of our countries, like the Dominican Republic, for example, we got rid of the Spanish, right? So we got rid of like these European white people with blonde hair and blue eyes. And so when the folks from Latin American countries got rid of the white people, instead of eradicating the racism that the Spaniards brought, we then refigured it so that, depending on what country you go to, the people who stayed behind, the people who ejected the Spaniards, who ejected the Europeans, they then became white, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so then instead of eradicating racism, we just recategorized it. And so the folks who were directly under the white Spaniards from Europe, then those people moved up in this racist pyramid and they became the whites, right? In the Dominican Republic, we call it blancos de la tierra, which means the whites of the land. In Dominican Republic, I never heard of Black Solidarity Day, but I was born here. So in middle school, I had the honor and the privilege of having an African American teacher who we were writing a essay or paragraph or something in school, and she said, "Well, just write what Black Solidarity Day means to you." And I said, "Well, I don't know what that is." But the way she broke it down is kind of like what Bill is talking about, and it is for people to come together and show their power, that they have dignity, they have strength, that they're beautiful. And at that time I still thought I was white because I was, I had this mentality from the people. And that was like my first experience. And that experience was a wonderful experience. It was an eye-opening experience. And so, I'm hoping that folks watching tonight could see the beauty and really the power of the whole concept of Black Solidarity Day. And see that is so needed because, like you said, we're an independent political party. So right now we ain't got no horse in this race. For us, Trump, the neo-fascist, is no good for our people, perpetuator of genocide. Joe Biden, who's a neoliberal, is no good for our people. I mean, he's been in government like 50 years and, signed all these mass incarceration bills.
Right.
What was part of an administration that went from 2 wars to 7 wars internationally, that, started sanctions on Zimbabwe. So, for us, we don't support these 2 candidates. And right now we're not running any candidates, but we plan to in the future. So in places like New York State, we're asking folks to vote for third parties so we can start building alternatives. Because I know, December 12th, and I work with December 12th, when we had the Freedom Party with Charles, with Charles Barron and Ramon Henderson from the Bronx. It was a Black and brown led party in New York City. And unfortunately, folks, walked away from it. I'm not really quite sure why, but that's the inspiration that we got around the People-Pueblo Party,
Right.
And so, and now I know December 12th and the People-Pueblo Party, we're part of something called the People's United Front, bringing different organizations together so we could support each other and have unity. And, what you're saying is right on point. I mean, Bill, I don't know if you have any comments or questions at this point, but I'm really excited about this show tonight.
Am I muted? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yes.
Can you? Okay, because somebody said I was unmuted. All right. Like I said, we got to be on the same page. And I'm gonna try and make it as simple as possible. Black people got to stop being scared to be black. They got to stop being scared to accept their blackness. They got to stop being scared to say, I belong to something that says African in the front. They don't mind belonging to something as long as they don't, you don't have to say it's African, because then they turn around like, did the white folks hear that? The people that I'm all right with? First of all, I mean, it's like when crack was out. It hit everybody's family. And people knew that they had burnt their bridges. So to get the trust of the family members that they had stole from and did things to, they realized that they needed to go in and clean and detox and clean themselves in. But they went for the wrong reason. They went to save face. They didn't went because they genuinely felt that they needed the help. And when you don't really do it for the right reason, you doomed to repeat the mistakes that you did prior to that. Because you was just trying to get a new start, to clean a slate, so to speak, so people can say, yo, well, he's trying because he went to rehab. Not that he went to rehab because he knew he had a problem and he wanted to fix the cure. So in order to do that, we got to realize that all they doing is rearranging the furniture. That's all they doing. When we make noise, they give us certain things. I tell people in the 60s, I'm born 1960, born and raised in New York City. They gave us Positively Black. They gave us the Bill McQuarrie report. They gave us Like It Is when they broke down everything in every black neighborhood, in every black city when they assassinated Dr. King in 1968. They gave us those things. And then gradually, slowly, methodically, they took it from us. And that's what they always did. Even when they had the Great Northern Migration, you got to pay attention to this. They used to, everybody came north, black people did jobs that white folks didn't want to have. Nothing to do with it. It was demeaning to them. And even the titles was demeaning to them. They were garbage men. They came on the trucks and they got your garbage on the curb and they put it in the garbage can. They were janitors in your school. They came, they cleaned the toilet to your sons and daughters, and that's what they did. And that was beneath white people. When jobs got scarce, when black people told their other relatives in the north and the south, yo, come up north, you sign a list, they're going to be opening, and that's what they did. They had 10th grade, 11th grade education. They didn't graduate with a high school diploma. So when job got scarce, white folks said, I don't want to be a garbage man, and I damn sure don't want to be a janitor. But why should they have those jobs if I don't have no job? So what did they do? They put on one little wrinkle. In order to ride on the back of a truck through rain, sleet, hail, and snow, you had to have a high school diploma. In order to clean a toilet in the school, you had to have a high school diploma. So you had this list that was like this, full of black people's names that was next. And that list went to like this. And then what did they do? They sanitized the job. Garbage men now became sanitation workers. Janitors now became custodial engineers. It was placable to their palate. Something that they can hold their head up high and say that's what they were. So that wasn't even enough. So we got to understand that. First of all, we got to embrace and like our noses, like our full lips, like our full hips, because everything that they try to say that they despise in us, they try to emulate. And the highest form of admiration is imitation. And I don't put snow on my skin in the wintertime to lighten up my skin, but they damn sure go to tanning parlors. If you don't think so, look at number 45 if he ain't orange for a reason. So you got to understand that. So we gotta help people understand that black is truly beautiful. Even the songs that came out of the 60s, Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud. Everybody had a conversation. Even the one holdover that a lot of people don't realize is the way we embrace each other when we interlock our thumb. That's an abbreviation of the Black Power handshake. Now, if you was born in the 60s, you know the whole elaborate handshake, but it ends like this and it ends like that. That's the end of the handshake. Now, you want to give somebody a test, tell them to do that. And if they pass that test, then they was a nationalist and they wore dashiki, they had to pick in their hair, and they was getting that taught in their house. And that's where it got to start. It got to start in your house. Because if you build a strong foundation for your kid, they're going to water those seeds that we've been planting for decades. So you got to embrace who you are, be proud of who you are, because the highest form of admiration is imitation. And they emulate and imitate everything that we do. And that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah. Yes. I definitely agree with everything that you're saying. It's definitely time for us to get back to the roots of the essence of our culture. And that does begin with Black pride, understanding to be proud to be Black not being force fed this false ideology of white supremacy. White is not supreme. That's false. And yeah, just not being force fed that false ideology, and understanding too the nature of the system that we live in is not just the false ideology of white supremacy, but it is also an anti-Black system. And when I say that, I mean it's not just it's not just white people saying like, oh, we hate Black people. Like, you see all other people groups really trying to discard us. So it's like we have to have pride in ourselves, and we have to take that initiative and say, you know what? We know whose wealth was who was built off of our backs. You know what I'm saying? We were actually capital. We were bought and sold. You know what I'm saying? We have to understand where we came from, and the resiliency that we've always had. And even through that, we've always struggled, and crackers ain't never give us nothing. We've always had to fight. We've always had to fight and struggle and fight and struggle and fight and struggle for every little inch that we ever had. So that's another reality too that we have to realize. And that's why, in regards to the whole Black Solidarity Day piece, we have to understand that it's time for us to exercise our power, and that we must begin to defend ourselves, because we are engaged in a war 24/7, 365, whether we want to think about it or not. That lead in our water, that's warfare. The miseducation of our youth, that's warfare. You know what I'm saying? Not able to have affordable housing, adequate housing, that's warfare. Underlying health issues that they like to say, that's warfare. And we know that all ties back to this system that is built off of our back, white supremacy, capitalism. So how do we combat that? By a general strike. And that is in essence what Black Solidarity Day is, a general strike to take back our power and to defend ourselves against these oppressive forces, for us to organize around which way forward, as we keep on reiterating, because it is time for us to say which way forward. Is we're not babies. We have the right to be self-determined. We have to find that self-determination. Is not going to be given to us. Our oppressors will never give us the solution for our liberation. That will always come through our struggle and our own self-determination. And that's why this Black Solidarity Day is the most important day for us this year. Because no matter if it's Joe or Donald, it don't matter. Neither one of us have our interest is not on their agenda, period. You know what I'm saying? That's never been, when we look at the 400 years that we've been in this country, we can look at what has happened over the years. Like I said, nothing has been given to us by any presidential elect. We've always had to fight for it. So it don't matter who's going to be in the White House. It's about what are Black people going to decide to do, which way forward, because neither one of them have our agenda at heart. And then one may be worse than the other, but it's still worse. I'd rather be stabbed in the front than stabbed in the back. So it's just like, we have to decide which way forward for ourselves. That's why Black Solidarity Day is so important, and understanding even the essence of what Carlos Russell, he was inspired by the play, A Day of Absence. He was inspired by that play, A Day of Absence. And the Day of Absence was when, all right, we pulled out. Yeah, we not here. We not driving the buses. We not delivering the mail. We not doing this. We're not doing that. We're not participating in your system. We're not allowing you to leech off of our labor. So that's why it was started, and we have to continue that and know that. You can't hear you.
Can't hear you, Mom.
All right. How about now?
We can hear you now.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let me just ask. There's on YouTube and other social media, you know, there's Candace Owens pushing for Trump.
Damn.
And on the other side, on the flip side, you have former President Barack Obama, and you have Kamala Harris pushing for Biden. I mean, how do you see those kind of folks that are one side pushing for Trump, the other side pushing for Biden, when they should be pushing for the community. But I mean, how do you see those two kind of forces and what they're doing? How do you see that?
You want to go first?
Okay. I see it. I see it as just the same old game being played. They play on they play on the things that they know that Black people would love to hear. Both parties, it doesn't matter. So it's like but the thing is not to say don't go out and vote. Be counted. You know what I'm saying? Be counted. Exercise your right, but understand the essence of what was being fought for. When people like to say people died for the right to vote. Yes, people did die for the right to vote, but they died in essence because they believed that the right to vote will allow us to have a certain amount of power and still a certain amount of equality in this country. That's in essence what they were fighting for. So we're not saying like don't go out and vote. Exercise your right. And like you said, vote for somebody else in a different party. It's not only the lesser of the two evils. You know what I'm saying? Still exercise your vote, just like the census. Be counted. Be counted. I am here. I am here. But I ain't, I'm not gonna go for the okie doke. We have to understand. I think the point that you made, the other parties, look into the other parties, but don't waste your vote, but still exercise your right. But understand that's not our agenda. This is not our country, our system. It was created to oppress us always, and that we must in essence find a new way of doing things. In essence, find change is the only thing that's going to assist us.
So Bill, what you think?
Well, I mean, I'm in lockstep with the sister, but I did mention earlier, first of all, we got to be our own liberators. If you're looking for a system that was brought here to hold you down, to oppress you, to make you feel well, they didn't even consider you a full human being to begin with, and then also to make you feel like you weren't that. But meanwhile, like the sister said, we were always essential workers, because think of what we did. Everything to their existence we did. We cropped their land, we raised their babies, we breastfed their babies, and you name it, we did it. I'm a union worker. Only reason why we have union is because once the African American man and woman was free, they had all the talent because they was forced to learn these things. So they decided that they was going to make a pact with each other, and they was going to shut us out and create unions. And like I said earlier, all they do is rearrange the furniture. What you want to talk about? You want to talk about the slave period? You want to talk about Reconstruction period? You want to talk about peonage, which is worse than slavery, because in England with slavery, they knew they had to take care of you, they had to doctor you up because you was a commodity to them. With peonage, they put you in jail on some trumped up charges, and they didn't care if you drop dead. They just grabbed the next 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 people off the street and did the same thing to them, and they didn't care because they didn't have a vested interest in you. They just had a vested interest in the result. And whether it was your body or another body, it didn't matter. Then you talk about the education system. Everything's been a dollar value. Everything's been a dollar value. Whether you was enslaved or even with the school system, every child has a price on it. That's why you got charter school, because that's a part of the economic structure. And you got to look at people like whether it's Barack Obama or Kamala Harris, who did their bidding. They're always going to find people that look like us to do their bidding. So you got to understand that. And people know how I feel about Barack Obama. I remember a conversation I had with Mark years ago with Barack Obama, and I said I voted for him the first time, and you asked me why did I vote for him for the second time? I said because I felt like hey, he can't get reelected the third time, so he could do whatever he wanted to do. So I gave him an opportunity to do that. I at least afforded him that opportunity, and he failed. But they have always had black props to do their bidding. Now,
Mhm.
Barack he's a polite guy. He's probably a nice guy, but when did he ever stand up tall? Even Donald Trump is a one-term president. Like my mother always said, a broken clock even work is right twice a day. Even if he's a one-term president, to start racism in the United States of America and which it was built on, he represented them for 4 years. If he don't get a day more, they can be satisfied for what he did for the 4 years that he was there. And Barack should have did that, but he didn't do that. And you can't expect Kamala Harris to do that either. If you want liberation, liberation got to come from within. And how does that come from within? That comes from within because you study the iconic forefathers and the forebearers of that rose up against oppression. That whether it be Hannibal, Nat, Phyllis, Martin, Fannie Lou Hamer, name them all, put them on your wall, shame them. Shame them because the blood of these streets is filled with our ancestors' blood. Then, as it is today, as it will be tomorrow. So when are you going to get up and fight when it hits your doorstep? Because it's here. And even, I don't have a problem with taking a step forward if we're going to take 50 years to undo what it takes us to do. I would tell you, I mean, if Trump, in the worst case scenario, got reelected because black people decided that they weren't going to blindly give their vote to the Democratic Party. You want our vote, you got to earn our vote. And that would be an awakening for them because they would say, oh, wow, they'd be shocked. Oh, New York was always carried Democrat. DC always carried Democrat. Whatever the state is that they took our vote for granted, and now they now they realize they can no longer take our vote for granted. Yeah, there'd be a step backwards for 4 years, but now whether we start our own party or we shake them by their boots and make them wake up, stop taking our vote for granted. Now you got to earn it. Because the Republicans ain't gonna never care about that, but the Democrats at one time did. So they realized they didn't have to, because they did enough that they can rest on their lawyers, and we would oppress ourselves by blindly going to the vote and pulling the latch for Democratic Party. So we gotta be our own liberators. We gotta do our own work, and it's tiring work. Yo, we're on the front line. We get tired because it's enough people out there to help us, but they don't come out there to help us. And sometimes you got to take a step back because it'll burn you out. So my appeal to everybody that's listening and that's going to take this message forward is tell people to help. Be inconvenient because we're inconvenient. Don't burn out the people in the front line. But as a frontline essential worker, as the sister said, I realized that as much as I've done, I got no right to complain, because I hardly did enough. But if I ain't did enough, and if people that you see right in front of you ain't did enough, and you see in the background with Malcolm and the red, black, and green flag and the African mask behind me, then you know you didn't do enough. Help us. Because at the end of the day, whatever we do, we all benefit from it. So we got to embrace who we are, love who we are, dare to rock the system, because when people tell me, well, that's the way it is, I tell them like this: everything got a born-on date. What do I mean by that? That it wasn't always like that. And if it has a born-on date, you best believe it's got an expiration date too, to be determined. So,
absolutely.
That's how I feel about it.
And I just want to reiterate. I kind of shared what Robert had posted in the chat. I don't know. Can y'all see when I post up from the chat?
Yeah.
Yes.
So Barrett just got confirmed as SCOTUS, the Supreme Court, having to help us now. And it's what you were saying, Bill. I mean, Trump was there 4 years, and he got 3 Supreme Court judges on there, and he rewarded his base. He paid them back for them putting him in office. So absolutely right. You're absolutely right on that. And then on another, and I showed this before, Alvaro was talking about millionaires like Ice Cube and 50 Cent talking about they want to go with Trump because he offers them a business plan. I mean, it's like what Iman was talking about. You have these folks who have more self-interest than collective interest, and
Yes.
and cut all kinds of deals that cut out the rest of the community.
Let me say this, Mark.
Yep.
Cut out
Let
the
me
rest of the community.
let me say this because I don't want to forget this point because you make a superb point. Trump had a vacant and the opening was what 3 months before the election, 3 months or less.
Right.
And brought up about Barack Obama.
Mm-hmm.
Barack had an 8-month window.
Mm-hmm.
An 8-month window. And the Republicans were saying you should wait, and he folded.
Mm-hmm.
He folded. When the police officer harassed Louis Gate and Barack said that he acted stupidly, next thing you know, he's doing a press conference in the backyard of the White House with Louis Gate, the racist police, and himself drinking a beer. Mm-hmm. He folded when the senator from South Carolina called him a liar, which was very disrespectful. I don't care what nobody said. He folded. Instead of him saying next time we meet with the senator, even if we don't control it, yo, I'm gonna have a Mark, I'm gonna have brother Mark, I'm gonna have brother Bill hold up that meeting so they make him apologize for saying that. He folded. You got 8 months and you folded. This guy got 3 months. I don't care what y'all said. Right. So that's why we gotta understand that they're one and the same. We can't look for them. We can't look for them now. But I listened to the debate, and like I said, I referenced my mother because she was a wise woman. She had many sayings. As a poor rat that has only one hole. She talks about a rat. It's a broken clock, right, twice a day. So what Trump said was when he took office, okay, he filled the 198 judges, now 199. All right. And they were all white. But he said that Barack left 120 or either 128 vacant judge seats that could be filled. He said, who does that? Who does that? You know what I'm saying? That's dereliction of duty. So with that in mind, we realize that we got to continue to keep the pressure on them. We got to keep kicking in the door, and we can't expect anything less than we're able. You can't respect somebody that respect you more than yourself because they ask us to be role models. They say be role models, but think about the hypocrisy that Colin Kaepernick decided to take that personal head on and say, I'm gonna be a role model. I got a platform. Yeah. So then when he decided to be a platform, they said, wait, time out, don't do it like that. We didn't mean for you to do it like this. So what did they do? They passed a law 2 years ago in an NFL that if you took a knee, not that the owner had the option to fine you, it was mandatory that you got to fine. So when people think that things haven't changed, they still change the game. They still rearrange the furniture. They still find ways to oppress her. You got many examples of that, whether you want to go to Black Wall Street, Rosewoods, or the likes. And there's many other examples like that. And even with Trump, a lot of times on his campaign trail, he wanted to stick a stake in the heart of Black people even further, and he wanted to have his demonstration on these historical sites. All the wrong reason to us. So you got to understand your history. You look on some of these helmets and they talk about Black Lives Matter and they have Breonna Taylor. Well, I was watching the game last night with Seattle, and I was refreshed to see that Russell Wilson had Emmett Till's name on the back of his helmet that he didn't forget, and neither should we. Because Fannie Lou said, if I gotta fall, you want to kill me so I can fall forward, 5 feet and 4 inches forward to the March for Freedom.
Yeah, definitely. And on this, the same point and the same energy is like the reality is that we must have a response to our national oppression. You know what I'm saying? Like and that is what Black Solidarity Day is in the essence. All of the atrocities that are being talked about right now, or that we're discussing on this platform, you know what I'm saying? There must be a response to our national oppression. And that, in essence, is what Black Solidarity Day is. It's us having a national response to our national oppression and us saying, how are we going to organize? Which way forward? We don't want the lesser of the two evils. No more shucking and jiving. And again, the one thing that you said, it was like there's like in the invested interest in their result. So again, back to the question that started this off, Mark, when you asked us, what do you guys think about, the whole Kamala Biden ticket, the Trump Pence ticket, is like, again, like how I was saying, like they're gonna say things that are going to appease to us, but that's only to arouse us in that moment, so then we could flood to the polls in their interest and vote them in. And we know they ain't going to do nothing, but we exercise our right to vote, but we must make it count for us. And what do I mean by that is like, be counted, but understand that this system is not here for you. This system is not here for you. This is not the system that was created to say, all right, what did you Black people want? The example that that Bill just gave just now. What did he do? I'm sorry. We just seen what Trump just did. He like, yeah, this is my base, and this is what I'm gonna do for my base. Mm-hmm. Now, again, we got to stop putting our things in their hands, and we have to say, okay, what are Black people going to do in our own interest? And that is why Black Solidarity Day, because one, it exercises our power. We say, okay, we are going to come together on that day, remove ourselves from the system, shut the city down, shut the nation down in that manner, because it's our labor that's keeping everything going, and say, how are we going to move? And then we're going to continue to move in ways towards general strikes. Because again, we know that they only respond to when you mess with their money. When you mess with their money, they like, okay, all right, what y'all want to do? When they saw that Black folks was in, again, the precursor was this summer for us. We have to understand that. What did we do? Black people was, people was in the streets. We was like, oh, y'all, it's enough. We were in the streets. So then now you seeing commercials now with Black women and all Black hair care stuff, again, paving yellow brick roads that lead to nowhere and all this other stuff. Come on. That is the power that we have. That's our power. And we have to understand that, because that is what Carlos Russell believed in. That's what he saw, a day for us to say, pull out. What are we going to do, though? Let's huddle up together. How are we going to organize? Whoever comes in office, how are we going to make them do what we need them to do for us? Period.
Yeah. And I'm just going to share some images, because I know, Bill, you had gone out there to check out the I think it's the early voting stuff.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I know you was out there. This is a picture of you. We got it with your Kaepernick shirt, right?
Yeah.
So, and I know, there was a lot of people out there, and I just want you to tell us a little bit. What was the vibe? What was going on with the people that day? What did you see, and how did you feel about what was happening?
Well, I actually was walking past the spot in the Bronx. I walked past the spot on 167 in the concourse. I forgot the name of the building. I've been in that building. It's a big building, and they have a mural of what's my man's name that started hip hop in the Bronx. I can't even think of his name. Oh man. Anyway, I walked past. I got the mask on, and Sister Agnes saw me, and she said, "Bill," and I you know how you think you hear somebody saying that, and they got to say it a second time, and she said it a second time, and I recognized her, and I saw it, and then that's how the conversation started. So then I started going to the other side. She was talking about how horrendous the conditions were around the building, knowing in advance that they were going to have early voting. It was historic, and that was the first day, and showed a disregard and disdain and lack of commitment and concern, and it taken for granted that not only are we going to come out, we're going to get their vote, and we're not going to say anything about the deplorable condition. So she started showing me that she showed me the conditions. So I went and I started going live, and I was showing it. I was talking to people. There were broken sidewalks. There was garbage. There was weed. There was dog feces all over the place. And ironically, while I'm filming it and telling people and highlighting the very thing that I'm telling you, what do? I step in it. So I said, look at me. I'm stepping in it right now. I stepped in it. And I told people, I said, do me a favor. If you, I said, you got elderly people. You had people pushing strollers, and you know, kids are not mandated to wear masks because I guess their lungs are still developing. So they was inhaling on it. I said, why you on the phone? Dial 311 because you need the strength in numbers. And people was nodding their head north to south. So hopefully they was doing it. But it was just deplorable condition. Then I walked out to Yankee Stadium, and it was totally different. Because the court system represents money. This one was in the fabric of the community. One was like the hub of the community. You know, it was night and day. Mm-hmm. So those are the things. And it was elderly people too. And I interviewed them. It was one sister that was very passionate. Her name was Deborah. She was very passionate. She wouldn't even wait online. She said she would have been glad to help to come in and clean us up. And that's the thing. We give us the tools, we'll thrive on it. Right. I mean, you can live in a rundown neighborhood. That's not indicative how it is on the other side of the door of your house. Your house is probably immaculate. This is what they feel about us. And that's why we can't blindly just vote, you know, what's been done 4 years before us or 40 years before that and 40 years moving forward. It has the change have to come from within. Yeah. So, I mean, keep it real.
Alvaro lives in the Bronx. He wanted to know what part of the Bronx was that where people was lining up to vote.
That was on by McClendon over there on 167th Street, going down the hill. Where was that? From the Grand Concourse, you made it right, and I'm trying to think which street that was. But you know that big hall, where they have mural with the graffiti on it. I mean, they use it as a mirror all the time. Yeah. It's on the downtown side.
Okay. Of the Grand Concourse.
Of the Grand Concourse. Yeah. Cool Hurt. The mirror with Cool Hurt. He's there every time. Even when it needs to be repaired, they just do a fresh, a different thing with Cool Hurt there. Okay. Gotcha. You know, the godfather of hip hop.
Right.
It was the Arthur Morris building or something. I think it's called.
It's called, yeah.
Yeah, it's that building. It takes up like about 3 blocks. You can't miss it. Yeah. Across the street from the courthouse.
Oh no, Alvaro said that's the Andrew Friedman house.
That's what it is.
Thank you. Friedman home. That's what Alvaro was saying.
That's right. That's what it is. Thank you.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So let's go to. We have a couple of minutes left, and usually at this point in the show, we go to announcements. And so, Iman, let's bring it on. What's the main announcement that you got for us tonight?
The main announcement that we have is, of course, as the topic is Black Solidarity Day, no work, no school, no shopping, Monday, November 2nd. So we, the December 12th movement, okay, you putting up the flyer?
Yes, indeedy.
All right. Yep. So there it is. That's the flyer right there. Monday, November 2nd. We're going to begin our day with a unity march at 3 p.m. We're going to be assembling at Restoration Plaza on Fulton Street in Brooklyn. And then we're going to be having a virtual rally at 7 p.m. The march is going to, so here we go. We're live and direct. You know what I'm saying? All right. You got the flyer in it because you know it's in it's on the back of Our Times Press, y'all. So if you get the Our Times Press, then you know. All right. So here we are, and that's what's going to be happening. We're going to have again the Unity March will begin. The assembling will begin at 3 p.m. and we're going to march, and we're going to end at Frederick Douglass Square. So just join us at 3 p.m. and join us at 3 p.m. for the march and rally, and we're going to march throughout, the Bedford-Stuyvesant neighborhood of Brooklyn. And then on 7 p.m., that's when we're going to have our virtual rally. And the flyer, it shows where you can register, but you can follow us on Facebook, December 12th movement, and also get on that way for the 7 p.m. virtual rally. You'll hear from a number of other organizations around the nation where we're all going to be discussing and talking about which way forward in regards to the Black nation.
Wonderful.
Remember, no work, no school, no shopping. We shutting the city down. We're using our economic power. We're using our labor power to shut the city down and send a message, and therefore continue on with that message. Because again, we must begin to organize, and there must be a response to our national oppression. And we see this Black Solidarity Day as the most important Black Solidarity Day that we have seen in our lifetimes thus far.
All right. Thank you. And also this Wednesday, the People-Pueblo Party, we're going to be having another discussion on Zoom about some of the same things we're talking about right now. Again, the December 12th movement is one of our partners in the People's United Front. And so we're also helping, especially in Harlem. Bill, we gotta step up and do our outreach in Harlem so that folks can come through for Black Solidarity Day this week. So Wednesday, we're going to be discussing that, and definitely in solidarity with our sisters and brothers and comrades in the December 12th movement. So Iman, thank you for being here. And Bill, thanks for being an awesome co-host. Are there any last words y'all want to say before we say goodbye to our audience?
Thank you. Thank you for giving us this space and time on your platform to spread the message of Black Solidarity Day. We got to keep our culture going live and fresh, keep it live and fresh, keep the energy up always. So thank you for giving us this time to talk about Black Solidarity Day.
Bill, you got some last words?
Now I'm going to let the sister have the last word.
All right, then. So as we always end, all power to the people.
All power to the people.
All power to the people.
All right. All power to the people.